Tariffs are incoming. Whether you like it or not, prices are about to increase. Here are some helpful tips on how to hedge yourself against inflation and protect your wallet. So to understand how to help protect ourselves against the incoming tariffs, I want to start with the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster that happened in 2011. Some people aren't old enough to really remember. I'm just barely old enough to really know what happened. But essentially what happened was there was a nuclear reactor that actually had a meltdown because of an earthquake and a tidal wave that ensued. Now, the interesting part about this, it was a 9.0 earthquake, and the nuclear reactor was designed for that. They survived that earthquake. Having said that, though, in 2008, they were warned that their 19-foot tidal wall was not tall enough. They recommended a 33-foot tidal wall to protect themselves against a tsunami that could follow an earthquake. They put that under review and did nothing about it. In 2011, the earthquake happened, and then a 40-foot tidal wave ensued. That 40-foot tidal wave then caused a lot of problems in the Fukushima Daiichi reactor. And of course, chaos ensued, and there were billions upon hundreds of billions of dollars of damage caused. And not to mention, I mean, it could have been something that could have destroyed Japan. I mean, it could have caused a lot of problems, right? And it did. Now, here's the thing. We have had a lot of warnings about being more wise with our money, and we keep putting that under review. My goal for you guys is to take some next steps to prevent a possible disaster. Now, I don't know if the tariffs are going to be a Fukushima level disaster. It could be a very good thing for the country. It could be a very bad thing. We don't know, right? But regardless of whether you're a Trump supporter or not, we have to come to terms with reality that prices are going to increase and we need to do something about it. So here is my warning to you guys. So there are really only three things that you can do with your money. Money can either come in, it can stay / be invested, or it can go out, right? It's spending. When it comes to that, you might want a combination of the three things or an improvement of all three in order to be able to hedge yourself against the level of tariffs that might be happening here. So we're going to talk about each one and just a few tips that I have for you. And we're going to talk about the most sensitive one, which is going to be income. Now, I have heard time and time again how exhausted people are. And I just want to say before I talk about increasing income, I want to recognize how hard the average person is working right now. I understand that people are working 40 to 80-hour weeks or more. I understand that people don't want to work overtime and do the same, mundane task over and over again for a lot of extra time, especially if it's soul-sucking. I do want to say that this is not going to be a shot at your character. However, I do want to help here. What I want to say, though, is that you don't have to work overtime. Now, overtime is a wonderful thing. I encourage people to do it if they can handle the overtime. Time and a half is a wonderful thing, and so is double time, right? Although, if you have a marketable skill, such as being a handyman, for example, or being an educator, or whatever that is, that might be a great way to increase some income by doing something that you still like to do. I like to listen to Mr. Big Weld from the movie Robots. See a need, fill a need, right? If you have a skill and there's a need, why don't you fill that need, especially if it's something you enjoy? Now, let me give you an idea of how easy this is. I discovered how much I like plants and fruits and veggies and things like that, right? I was joking with a coworker the other day. I had started all my starter plants, and I had this idea of like, what if I just planted 100 extra tomatoes, 100 extra peas, 100 extra whatever, and then just sold each one for like $5 a pop. And he looked at me and said, if you do that, I'll pay for some. Now, I accidentally discovered, a business. Not even my intention. I'm already kind of preoccupied with another business idea. Although, wow, I can make an extra few $100 this planting season or this growing season or more. And maybe next year I can make thousands. I mean, who knows if I had decided to go through with this. Now, we'll see later on what happens. Having said that, though, it is remarkably easy to find a way to market your skills and market your interests. So I want you to ask yourself, what is my interest and where is the need in that interest? And this is how most entrepreneurs start in the first place. They find something they're passionate about that they really enjoy, and then they just kind of grow on that after they see a need. So start with a need. If you like working on a car, why not go do mobile mechanic stuff? If you really enjoy working on cars, there are tons of cars in the world, and there's no shortage of help being needed. After that point, I would, just like I said, just be creative. And there's other things that might not be as interested in, but willing to do. Some yard work. You could shovel some snow. Every season is different. Now, and I apologize for the cough and the crazy hair and everything. I need a haircut. Now, be creative, right? Like I was saying, there's thousands of ways. There's lazy ways to make money. You can go, like I said, donate plasma, or you could do like a medical study if you want, whatever it is. As long as you're being moral, man, go enjoy yourself. If you like to paint, teach people how to paint. I mean, I know a lot of people who want to learn. Now, if you get really good at marketing and teaching these skills and getting people interested, you got a whole business that you can do. Now, from that point, after you've learned some skills or have something that you've learned how to market, you can increase the income after that. You're going to want to learn how to save, right? So there's this whole debate about what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Pretty easy with money. Income comes before saving, and saving comes before spending. Okay, so income comes in, and we're going to go to saving. Now, the first thing I'm going to start with is the emergency fund. The emergency fund is going to be probably the most important first step that you take. Not having an emergency fund is an emergency fund. Not having an emergency fund is an emergency. So, what is an emergency fund? That is going to be what I prefer to be a 1 month bare bone expense saved into whatever saving account that you have. So 1 month emergency fund. Now, some people will say more, some people say less. That's where I would start if you're in debt. If you want to have a little more saved, that's fine. If you want to have a little less saved, that's also fine. Dave Ramsey, his suggestion is $1,000, which I think is low, but you can do what you want, right? It's a free country. So, having said that, the emergency fund is going to prepare you for things that you cannot foresee, right? You cannot foresee a broken leg. You cannot foresee a car wreck. You cannot foresee the loss of a loved one, whatever that is, right? Now, I want you to have that 1 month emergency fund to start, and then grow it to about 3 to 6 months after you are out of debt. And if you're getting close to retirement, probably a year to 2 years will be a really good emergency fund. Once again, you do you, but just keep in mind that you need to have an emergency fund. And once again, only for things that you cannot foresee. For the things that you can foresee, like maybe car registration or a yearly subscription, or whatever it is that might come in the next 3 to 6 months or a year or whatever, start having a sinking fund for those things. So that way they're not coming out of your emergency fund. They're not like something you have to stress about, every couple of months or every few months, have to worry about, oh no, how do I pay this $150 car registration fee, right? Plan ahead for that. And all you got to do is just look in the next 6 months or a year or whatever you want to look at. Let's say a year. Look at the next year. What are the expenses I have coming up in the next year? And then how much do I need to save per month to be able to do that, and put that in a separate sinking fund. For your sinking fund, for your emergency fund, I suggest having a high yield savings. There are 1 trillion high yield savings out there. So find one that has a good return on investment. Find one that's with a reputable bank or credit union or wherever. It's very common to find them between 3 to 5% return on investment, which is pretty awesome. So keep your money there. Make sure it's liquid. You can pull the money out if you need to. Make sure you're aware of how many times you can pull money out. Some have a restriction on that. So make sure to be aware of those things so you're not blindsided later on. After that whole savings spill, I want to go ahead and talk about investing. And before I begin, I'm not a financial advisor. There are a lot of amazing financial advisors out there who are speaking about what's going on with the tariffs. Something I want you to consider is that a recession is correlated with, but not the correlation causation thing, right? The stock market could be going down, but that doesn't mean it's a recession, right? The recession is going to be based off of gross domestic product, right? So stock markets are going to go down. Most advisors are going to tell you ABB, always be buying, right? It's the dollar cost average thing. You're going to be investing every month or every week or however often you've decided to invest some money in the stock markets. When the stock market goes down, the world's not ending. The stocks are on for sale, right? I mean, you'd be crazy if you didn't buy a stock that's 50% off, right? So this is kind of how you want to look at the stock market crash, is not necessarily a big tsunami or a big problem, but rather an opportunity, right? So ABB, always be buying. Look into talking to a financial advisor about what specific stocks you need to be buying and where to be putting your money. Look at specifically ones who charge per hour, not by percent, right? Because the per hour is going to be a lot cheaper than the guy who charges you by percent. So just remember, with the stock market crashing, that doesn't mean it's a recession. We could be hitting a bear market. That is a very common thing that does happen every few years, but that doesn't mean that the economy is crashing and you need to pull all your money out, right? Okay. So from that point, you've had money come in, you've saved money, you've been investing it, right? Now, what do I do from there? Well, you need to look at your spending, okay? Now, I understand the coffee thing. Some people are like, get rid of the coffee and never have coffee again, and don't buy avocado toast. And look, if coffee is making you happy and that's how you get through work and how you can find some meaning in your life, wonderful. Having said that, maybe look into ways that you can cut down just a little bit. Now, I do not expect the whole Dave Ramsey thing of like just cut everything out and be done with it, right? But I like to think about the frog analogy. You take a boiling water and you throw a frog inside, that frog is going to hop out of the water immediately. But if you put frog in cool water and then warm it up, slowly boiling the frog, it'll boil, it won't hop out, right? It won't even notice. Same thing with us. If we can find a way to adjust our behavior by 1% or just a few percents every month, we're not going to feel it, and we're going to see some amazing changes that happen. So with the Fukushima the Fukushima nuclear, not necessarily natural, but the nuclear disaster that happened, had they just prepared that wall by a few feet every year, they wouldn't have had any problem. The nuclear reactor would have been fine, and they would have saved themselves hundreds of billions of dollars. So remember, consider building up your own little tidal wall, right? Or at least, I guess in this case, looking for ways to decrease just a little bit, right? Now, with the coffee thing, right? You can, if you go to Starbucks 5 days a week, maybe try to go 3 days a week, or maybe consider buying the Starbucks coffee stuff or coffee, and bringing it to your home and making coffee at home and try to cut down the price a little bit. And I'm just talking about coffee here. I mean, this could be subscriptions. This could be going out and eating. This could be, it's all food for me, to be honest with you. But if it's your car, for example, if it's vacations, look at ways, or just Amazon spending, whatever it is, look for ways to decrease the amount of money that you are spending just every month, look for a few percent every month. Okay. Along with cutting expenses down that might not be necessary, maybe try to find a way to cut down expenses that are necessary. Now, that sounds really weird because you can't cut out something that is necessary. However, having said that, if you're paying a phone bill that's been going up in price, or maybe internet or insurance or whatever it is, you can actually renegotiate prices. Okay. Now, the problem is we have a tendency just to decide this isn't possible, or I can't do this, so you don't even try. Here's the thing. You will be surprised the amount of times that you're going to be able to negotiate or renegotiate prices. With your phone company, let's say you have a phone company and they jacked up your phone price by $50 per month. And you say, this is not acceptable, so I'm going to either go ahead and go to this other company that's charging half the cost, or I can talk to them and see if they'll negotiate with me. Give them a phone call and let them know your plan. Hey, I want to do business with you. Having said that, though, these prices are going up, and I cannot continue my business with you guys when there is this other cheaper specific alternative here. And if you can make it about helping them, right? Be a people person here. And don't just threaten them, but say, hey, I want to keep doing business with you. I like you guys. Please help me here. If you go about it that way, they're going to be a lot more likely to renegotiate the prices of whatever bill you're looking at, right? So give it a try, because the worst thing that could happen is you go through with what you just promised. Oh no, you got cheaper prices, right? And when it comes to phone, there's a ton of different options. You got, Tello, you have Mint Mobile, Straight Talk. I mean, there's a ton of options out there that are cheap alternatives to phone bills, or to cheap alternatives to internet, or whatever it is. Just remember to take a moment and to actually renegotiate some of the prices that you thought are set, and that includes rent. Okay, landlords, they don't want you to know this, Okay, this is one of those, your landlord doesn't want you to know that you can negotiate rent. If you find out that the market is actually going down for rent, or you find cheaper alternatives and you've been a good tenant, you could say, hey, here's the specific place I'm looking at renting, and I want to know if you guys will work with me and match this price here, because I like you guys. You've been a great landlord, and I want to keep doing business, but I have to go with this cheaper alternative because money is tight. And then a lot of times they don't want to lose your business if you've been a good tenant, so they will actually renegotiate with you, or at least hopefully will. If they don't, oh no, you find a cheaper place, right? So go from that point. Don't threaten people. Don't be like, raise my price or lower my raise my prices, lower my prices, or else, and shake your fist at them. Don't do that, right? Just say, hey, I want to keep doing business with you guys. Give them a benefit too, right? This can't be about just you, because you're not the only person struggling. If you can make it about other people and kind of see the benefit of helping you, man, give them a reason to have a symbiotic relationship, right? If there's a benefit to them, they're a lot more likely. If you just say, hey, lower my rent by $500 a month and give no benefit for doing so, they're not going to do it, right? Here's when people buy, okay? A seller secret. I did sales for a little while. One of the seller secrets is that people buy when the value exceeds the cost. So if you can help your landlord or the phone bill or whatever see the value in lowering the price, they're going to pay that price. Okay, so help them see that value by making it about them. Debt is also a huge expense. The average car payment right now is about $700 per month. Now, we don't really think about that, but think about the actual long-term cost of that. But there is more than just a monthly payment. There's also the cost of depreciation and also opportunity cost that is lost when we're paying for debts, okay? So opportunity cost being that's money that could have been in the market, increasing your dollars and hedging yourself against the tariffs that are happening, right? So once again, look at your debts and start prioritizing paying off your debts. If you have a car payment of $400 a month, what could that $400 do for you when there's a 25% increase in food, right? That could do a lot. And if you weren't paying off that car, you definitely wouldn't feel that price increase as much. So look into your debts and start prioritizing paying off your debts after you have an emergency fund saved up. That way, like I was saying before, you don't have to feel you don't have to feel the effect, right? So once again, just a recap. First off, look at how much money is coming in. How can I increase my money? How can I do it creatively? And how can I do it without losing my soul? 2, look at where you're saving your money. Are you putting in a high yield savings? Are you losing potential money that could be being added to your savings every month? Look at high yield savings. Look at money market accounts that will bring some money in, rather than just setting in a bank account and getting no money, or pulling out all cash and having no money. Because remember, if you pull out cash and you put all your savings under your pillow, what happens if your house burns down? What happens if someone breaks in? What happens if your kids take it? There is a trillion what ifs, so make sure, and I don't know what my obsession with trillion is today, but it's my obsession. Please, just look at a place that is, FDIC, insured, and that, your money is protected. But be wise about where you are putting your money. And then always be buying when it comes to investments. And then remember to not see necessarily a bear market as a bad thing, but as an opportunity. Speak with a financial advisor about where to be putting your money and how to be spending your money properly. And then along the lines of spending, where can you cut back spending? I would actually invest in a budgeting app like YNAB or Simpler Budget or Every Dollar or Monarch. There's no shortage of these. They'll help you keep track of where you're spending your money, where you can improve. Take a look at bank statements as well and just add up the different amounts that you're spending. It's going to be unbelievable. And if you haven't done that before, you're going to be very, very surprised. I've never seen anyone who was not surprised by their spending when they've actually looked at what happened last month for the very first time. Okay, I hope that helps you guys out. Once again, these tariffs are a real thing. Whether you are a Trump fan or not, you're going to be expecting some price increases, right? Whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, this is not a politics thing, but this is just a reality thing. Now, later in a few years, maybe we're going to be doing really well and we're going to love our lives. And maybe in a few years, we're going to be in a depression. I mean, who knows what could be happening? However, when we protect ourselves now and start preparing now, whether or not in a few years from now things are going really well or really bad, it doesn't matter because you prepared, right? Just like, the nuclear reactor company could have done back in Fukushima. Had they just prepared, whether things had happened, whether the earthquake had happened or not, they would have been ready for it, right? So get ready for a possibility of a nuclear reactor level catastrophe, and you are all set. I hope that helps you guys out. Please let me know what you guys think. Do you have any other tips? Maybe something that you disagree with or you agree with. I'm always open for some feedback. And if you found this helpful, please share with some friends or family, not just the video, but also just some tips. I'm happy to help you guys out. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, I'm just a blue collar worker, right? I'm working, I'm in the trenches with you, but I do love being able to help you guys out. Anyways, bye for now, and you got this.